How are we doing today? We're going to be doing a video on how to put together an AR-15 upper. Various brands we're going to be using today. We're going to be using a Ballistic Advantage 16-inch barrel, 5.56, 1 in 7 twist. We're going to be using just a standard A2 birdcage flash hider, Yankee Hill machine, free float 12-inch rail. This is an older one that I've had for a while, but I've been kind of going back and forth between them to see which ones I liked and which ones I didn't. So, so far this is the one I like the most. So, and then we're going to be using Yankee Hill gas block and gas tube as a DPMS that came with a gun that I bought a while ago. So, well, to get started, first thing we're usually going to want to do is put a little bit of molly grease on the threads. This one's pretty well mollied up already, so that's not really a big deal. Of course, you want to take your barrel, and I usually put a very small dab of molly on there, and then kind of just spread it around a little bit, just to kind of make sure everything's going to fit in there nice and tight. It's not really that big of a deal, but I always figured it kind of helps with stability with the barrel a little bit, so at least when you're putting in, tightening down your barrel nut. So next thing you're going to want to do is take your barrel nut, this guy, and the barrel nut wrench will come with it. I set that right here. And you're going to want to go ahead and just slide this over. Now, get it hand tight and no more at first, because you're not really going to need to do a whole bunch. So that's good and hand tight. Now, in the manual for this guy, it does say to go to 80 foot-pounds. However, I don't have a torque wrench, and it was very difficult to find the correct tool without ordering it. And I've done this a few times with this one, so you know, I do have a pretty good idea what 80 foot-pounds really is. Armor spec is 35 foot-pounds, I believe, minimum. So most of us can get about that, so that's not really a big deal. However, it's usually better to do this with a torque wrench, so I'm kind of doing a no-no, but I've done this about 100 times at this point. So we're going to want to fit our crescent wrench over this guy and just start tightening. A little more. I got stuck. And just a little bit more. Tighten it down a little bit. It should be good. So that's not going to move. That's all we care about. The most important thing is that nothing around here moves unless I pull that trigger. So next step we're going to have to do is install the gas block. Now I put my gas block, my gas tube on my gas block before I put it on, which is usually a good idea. It kind of saves you a little bit of time. Really, you're going to run into problems with doing that with a 14.5-inch barrel build, in which case you're going to have to pin and weld the flash hider, or, you know, use silver solder. You can, I've heard people using red Loctite to kind of fool the enforcement, but that's not something I'd really recommend. So let me go ahead and tighten this down real quick, guys. Just a moment. Okay, so I just had to get the gas block and everything lined up. I wanted to make sure that I got it perfectly aligned. So now the next thing we're going to be working on, if I can get this in position, is going to be this guy, the muzzle device. Now I said I was going with a standard 82 bird cage. The AR-15 for me doesn't have very much recoil, and with this rail on it, this isn't necessarily heavy rail by any means at all. However, with the stuff I usually put on here, lights, handguard, well, excuse me, hand grips, things like that, it gets a fair amount of weight on it, so I'm not really worried about recoil. So I want to take crush washer. Now, these things, guys, these are a one and done deal. You cannot reuse them. You can't, you know, take one on, put another one on. You really need to get a pack of these if you're going to be doing this often like I do. So you're going to go tapered end towards the receiver. Let's just start threading it on. Of course, it would help if I did it the right way. Now, some of these crush washers I bought aren't the greatest crush washers, so I'm going to be torquing it in a funny direction. Y'all are probably going to be going, what the heck's going on, but of course my trusty crescent wrench is always there for me when I need it. Other way. Yes, I know I suck. So you have to brace this guy a little bit because I am crushing down the crush washer, so I'm not really alarmed by the pressure. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's see here. Back just a tiny bit, but that's pretty much exact. Love of God. That is just about perfect. Okay, so next in, you know, the final real step in this is going to be putting on the handguard. Something I noticed is actually if you are like me and have about 100 other free float handguards sticking around the house, some are going to be M-lock, M-lock, some will be key mod. I prefer key mod. I think it's a much more stable mounting platform. The Magpul M-lock grips, these little grip pads here, actually fit on key mod, so that's kind of a nice thing I noticed. So I'll turn you back towards the receiver here. So slide this guy on over. Line it up correctly. That's going to be super important that you line this thing up correctly, because if you don't, it's not going to go well. You're going to have a bunch of shots that are missed, etc., etc. Okay. Now, just a second here. I think I set my screws down somewhere. Okay, found the screws. I didn't play inside as usual. So with this guy, you need to get under here, and I think that's on the wrong way. Oh, that's right. There we go. Need to adjust this just a little bit. All right. So at this point, all we really do is just take them and thread them down. Now with these guys, you really don't need to go over, I think it was, they said 12 or 8 foot-pounds. I'm not going to go over that, so. That one. This one. If I appear to be looking over at the camera, that's because I am trying to watch time. I'm going to record 10 minutes at a time, God forbid. Silly cell phone. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here until I get everything tightened down. Alright guys, she's all finished up, and that's it. Thanks for watching. The Second Amendment protects the rest. Have a good one.